Senate Majority Leader Bob Dole is out campaigning around the country for his fellow Republicans. We caught up with him last night in Boise, Idaho, and asked what the Senate Republicans hope President Reagan will say in his speech on Tuesday about South Africa.
I think what we really need to know, and we support the president by and large, is just what is constructive engagement, what has it accomplished, and what will it accomplish in the next, let's say, 6 to 8 months. I think that would be very helpful if they could sort of, and I've already indicated this to Secretary Schultz in a meeting I had with him last week, that really if we're going to defend the administration policy, and perhaps we should, then we need to know precisely what's happened in the past several months that would give us rise to stand up and say, well, we shouldn't change anything. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure. Some of it may be political. I see this as sort of becoming a civil rights issue, very frankly, a domestic civil rights issue. But in any event, I think it's significant the President will address it. I think that's an expression in itself of his concern.
Well, Bill Gray, Congressman William Gray over in the House, has called the President's policy on this issue the see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil on apartheid. Do you tend to agree with that?
Well, not really. I mean, I don't, I have no general quarrel with Bill Gray, but I think he has a different view on South Africa. I think we ought to hear what the President has to say. I'm not, we want to make it clear to the President on Monday that there's a lot of bipartisan concern. And hopefully we can discuss with the President some of the ideas that Senator Kassebaum may have in mind. She's been looking into this matter for a number of weeks.
Well, she wants sanctions, Senator. She's got a bill for some pretty tough sanctions.
She wants sanctions. She doesn't go nearly as far as the House bill would go. There's some question whether we should have additional bank loans to South Africa, whether we should permit additional investment in South Africa, while on the other hand, the House bill would require disinvestment.
Would you like to see President Reagan announce that he's willing to meet with the head of the outlawed African National Congress as a symbol and a gesture to show that the United States is ready to deal directly with blacks in South Africa, and particularly with that organization?
I'm not certain I'd want the President to meet with that organization, but I see, and I know there are some who would want no liaison with that, with the ANC because of so-called, and not only so-called, but communist ties. But it would seem to me that we're not going to be able to resolve the serious problem there unless there's some dialogue. I don't think I'd recommend the President be the principal party in that effort.
Well, we already have some dialogue. What are you talking about? Are you talking about Schultz?
Secretary Schultz is going to be testifying on Wednesday of next week, and I think he'll be giving some fairly strong indication of administration policy. I'm not certain who will meet or if there'll be a meeting, but I have a feeling that may be one of the areas that may be revealed.
Okay. Let's move on. The President has been having increasing problems with the Republican Senate. He had a great deal of problems with the Saudi arms sales, defense spending, and other issues. Is the President losing clout in the Republican Senate as we come up to this election season?
No, I don't believe so. I think the Republican Senate is a fairly cohesive group. And let's face it, we don't have the lopsided margin Tip O'Neill has in the House, where he has 70-some vote margin. We have 53, the Democrats 47. If you lose 3, you've got a tie. You lose 4, you're out of business. So we've had some close votes, but we were successful on the Saudi sale by 1 vote.
I know.
We were successful on the aid to the freedom fighters by 3 or 4 votes. We will be successful on the Mannion vote.
You will be successful on the Mannion vote?
Yes.
You will bring it up for a vote this week, is that correct?
Well, I would hope to do it this coming week. Yes, in my view, we ought to bring it up and dispose of it.
And you're persuaded you will win this vote? That's what you're predicting?
Well, there are several options. One is to do nothing. I doubt that would be the right way to proceed, but certainly it's within the Senate rules to do nothing.
Well, tell us what you're going to do.
Well, I'm not quite certain yet. I want to make certain everyone's in town. This is one of those votes where if somebody breaks their leg on the way to the Senate floor, I may have to have a postponement. It's that close.
But you know, if you don't allow a vote, you'll be accused of holding it back because you didn't have the votes.
Well, I think that could happen later on, but we certainly haven't delayed the Mannion vote. In fact, I think the Democrats tried a little surprise attack and they lost. if I promised on this show that we're going to bring it up at 2 o'clock Tuesday, and I couldn't, one of our members couldn't get back, then that would not be fair to Mr. Mannion.
But you do plan to bring it up, and if everybody is there, do you have the votes?
Yes.
Okay.
I think.
Yes, I think. Is it really like that? Is it that close?
It's close. It's very close. I mean, it shouldn't be close. It ought to be a wide margin for Mr. Mannion, but I think the stakes are not Mr. Mannion. The stakes are who's going to control the Senate, and can the Democrats get any political mileage out of torpedoing some young man from Indiana because he's a small-town lawyer, even though he has a qualified recommendation from the American Bar Association.
We have been talking about the issues on which the Senate is giving the president a rough time. Another issue is trade, and now I understand perhaps even agricultural policy, and it's even possible that the president's own party majority leader, you, may be leading the fight on these issues against the president. I understand you have some problems with his agricultural policy. Is that true?
Ronald Reagan is the president. We know that he's spending a lot of money, 4 or 5 times more per year than any president in this century on agriculture. But we've got to do a little bit more. We've got to export some of this product, and yes, I have a little different view than the administration. My view is that we ought to export it across the board. We've got a lot of export money in the farm program, and we believe it's necessary not just to sustain the farmer, and I believe the farmer is critical to everyone in this country, but also to sustain the small towns in Idaho and Kansas and other states.
What do you want? What specifically will you
Well,
put
what I
for?
want, we have an export enhancement program, and it says that we should give countries a bonus if they buy additional grain. Well, somebody in the administration, well, that's all right, except we can't give the bonus to the Soviet Union. Now, my view is if we're going to trade with the Soviet Union, let's trade with them. If we're not, we ought to vote not to trade with the Soviet Union. But if we're going to trade, we ought to use everything we have in our arsenal to be competitive.
On that note, let's take a short break. We'll come right back after this pause.
Time, gentlemen.
I'm Jimmy Connors, and it's about time you met my partner, my financial side. Let's do it.
All successful companies and people have a financial side.
Let's go, partner.
It comes with success. But success in the financial world doesn't happen automatically. And sooner or later, you'll find you need some help.
We need some help.
You need Payne Weber behind you. We're capital management teams expert in corporate, government, or individual financial matters. Together, leveraging our strength in the marketplace with a dedication to the most creative financial solutions possible. Payne Weber gives you the financial backup you deserve. Because we believe whether you run a company or invest in one, the quality of life just might depend on the quality of your financial services.
All right. Thank you, Payne Weber. You're welcome. Hey, you're gonna have to loosen up. We got Payne Weber on our side now.
We pulled the wool over Mrs. Johnson's eyes.
What's this?
Feel.
This pink side's much softer, fresher.
Brand W cleans. New Delicare cleans better, softer, fresher.
I'm switching to Delicare.
Cleaner, softer, fresher care. New Delicare.
Does your multivitamin measure up to Avail? Avail is the only multivitamin that's calcium intensive. So you get your vitamins, minerals, and all the extra calcium you need in one tablet. For vitamins and calcium together, nothing measures up to Avail.
The ups and downs of the stock market can create its share of headaches. Take Pat Ryan.
I have a throbbing sensation, which I characterize as a desperate headache. I would like to have some aspirin now.
What he took was extra-strength Tylenol caplets. Last year, hospitals dispensed Tylenol 10 times more than the next 4 brands combined.
I feel superb, and my headache is gone. And that's a nice feeling to have.
If Tylenol worked for Pat Ryan, and it's the pain reliever hospitals use most, shouldn't you use Tylenol too?
We're continuing our interview with Senate Majority Leader Bob Dole. Senator, the economy was going to be in a booming stage by this time, and yet we're seeing a sagging recovery, only a 2% growth rate. Everyone thought this was going to be a good issue for you Republicans who are up for re-election to run on. Do you think it's going to end up being a negative issue for Republicans this year?
I don't believe it'll be a negative. In fact, I think we could even use a little more stimulus from the Fed. I know they've reduced the interest rates a half a point. I think they probably should have gone a full point, but they can still be helpful. They can reduce the discount rate even more. Let's face it, the economy is soft in many places across the country, and we need lower interest rates. We need to expand our export activities. But I think the economy is going to be probably neither a plus nor a minus. The tax reform bill is going to be a plus. That's going to be passed and on the President's desk by Labor Day. So I think the overall performance of the President, along with the tax bill, along with even though it's not robust growth, a fairly sound economy will add up to a plus for Republican candidates in November.
Well, I've noticed some Republicans, not you specifically, but other Republicans trying to distance themselves from the administration on arms control. The President's position on SALT is not that popular in the polls. You do support that issue.
I happen to believe that arms control is one of the two major items the President wants to achieve in his second term. The first is tax reform, which we'll have this year, and then he'll have a couple of years to wrap up meaningful, verifiable arms control. And I believe if Ronald Reagan said yes, the Senate would say yes.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about you. You have come out very strongly for the President going over the limits in SALT, which is a complete reversal from your position just a year ago when you voted for a resolution urging the President to stay under the SALT limits. What made you change your position?
Well, it just seemed to me in the past year the Soviets have been playing sort of fast and loose in the propaganda war. All I said, in effect, when the President made the announcement that, okay, we're going to abide by SALT II as far as the Poseidons are concerned, I said, well, I wish we'd have said it earlier, because I think what we're seeing now is a result of the President's rather firm statement. We're talking about abiding by a treaty that hasn't been ratified, probably couldn't be ratified, and I've suggested to some of my colleagues in the Senate, if we really want to debate SALT, maybe we ought to bring up the SALT II treaty instead of all these resolutions, sense of the Senate resolutions. Let's lay the treaty out there and see how many votes it has.
All right, can we talk about your running for president?
Sure.
Are you running for president?
No, I'm running around the country, but I'm doing like a lot of other people saying, well, I really don't have an interest, but I'm here again today. I think perhaps we'll make that judgment in next March or April. I'm running for re-election this year. I have to be a good senator for my state and will be. I want to be a good majority leader, and if all that works out fairly well, maybe I'd have an opportunity to do something else in '88.
Well, I don't have to point this out to you, but I can't think of many people since 1960 who have not, in order to win the nomination of either party, haven't had to quit their job and run full-time and start pretty early. Do you really think you can handle a presidential race and keeping your job as majority leader of the Senate, which is basically a full-time job?
Right. Well, I would think I would have that opportunity. You know, who knows what's going to happen in the presidential derby of '88 in either party. First there's a front runner, then there's somebody in second or third, and it all mixed up and they all change. If I happen to catch on and do very well, then I might have a second thought about the leadership. But right now it seems to me I've done a fairly good job, I hope. I haven't missed a vote. I haven't ducked any issues. I haven't tried to tailor the Senate to my, quote, presidential plans, end quote. So I don't really see a problem.
Let me raise another possibility. Pollsters are predicting that you Republicans could lose anywhere from 6 to 8 seats in this coming election and lose control of the Senate, meaning that the Democrats would have a chance to pick a majority leader. First off, let me ask you how serious that is.
They probably wouldn't pick me.
They probably wouldn't pick you.
Right. My view is that we're going to retain the Senate. Now, pollsters are taking polls based on today, and many of those 6 or 8 seats, as they'll tell you, are 1 or 2 points within the range of error. I happen to believe we're going to retain the Senate, and I'm an optimist. I think we might even pick up 1 seat.
By sticking your toe into the presidential sweepstakes, as you have been, can we assume that you think that George Bush, who is the front runner right now, isn't going to make it?
No, I assume that the race is wide open, with George Bush being the front runner. Others who have a credible shot at it, I think we sort of have a wealth of candidates. Democrats probably would say the same thing. I think it's you're in somewhat difficult position as a front runner. You're expected to be better than everyone else, to always be number one. But I feel in the last few months that at least people have started taking a look at the potential of a Bob Dole candidacy.
Well, you know, you're number 2 on just about every poll that's been taken lately. That's not too bad a position to be in at this stage, is it?
No, I want to sort of be like Ferdinand in the Kentucky Derby. He started slow, but he sort of got right into the pack there, and near the end he won. That's the Kentucky Derby, not the Belmont Stakes. He finished 3rd in the mud in the Belmont Stakes.
We left it right there. Senator Bob Dole. We'll be back with more on South Africa.
Women